Okay, you have the Seattle Seahawks record prediction. So Seahawks, they did lose Russell Wilson and a couple other pieces. So this team is really not that talented this year. But I still think Pete Carroll's a good coach and may get a few wins, but Seahawks team not looking great and the quarterbacks aren't great right now. So your first game versus the Broncos. Broncos is going to be a revenge game for Russell Wilson. And it's early on. Seattle's a bunch of new pieces with a new QB. And the Broncos, they do have a new head coach, a rookie head coach. But the Broncos, I think this team is a lot more talented than the Seahawks. So I'm taking the Broncos. Then you have week 2 versus San Francisco. San Francisco is another really talented team, but also another uh, divisional game and definitely a trap game, especially with the 49ers starting Trey Lance. And Seahawks usually do well against the 49ers, but 49ers early on, I still think they have a more talented team and Kyle Shanahan. And I'll take the San Francisco. I'll take the Niners. Then you have them versus the Falcons. Falcons this year, I just don't think aren't that good this year. Falcons, I think the defense is probably one of the worst. Um, and the Seahawks don't have a great offense, but at least they have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And offensively, the Falcons do have some talent. They do have Marcus Mariota. They did draft Drake London. And the Seahawks defense isn't the greatest, but Seahawks have home field advantage. Something Seahawks. Then you have them versus the Lions. Lions aren't a are okay, aren't great team, but they do have more talent wise. They've been rebuilding for one more year, and offensively they have Goff, they have Jameson Williams, they have St. Brown, and the Lions defense is not great, but Seattle's offense isn't great either. And I just think right now probably the more talented team is Lions, and they have home field advantage, so I'm gonna take them. You have the Saints. Saints offense isn't the greatest. They are getting Michael Thomas back, but Saints defense, I don't think with the bad QBs the Seahawks have, I don't think they'll do well against the Saints defense, which I think will be top 10 at least this year. So I'm gonna take the Seahawks. Then you have them versus the Cardinals. Cardinals. They still don't have Hopkins. They still have Kyler and Brown, but their defense is kind of lacking, and divisional games are always hard. They usually split, and I'm gonna take the Cardinals. Then you have the LA Chargers, right? LA Chargers are a contender, and I don't see them losing to the Seattle. They're definitely a trap game for the Chargers and a possible upset. Chargers have got so much, especially on the defense with J.C. Jackson, Mack, and the Seahawks. I don't think their offense is good enough, so I'm gonna take the Chargers. Then you have them versus the Giants. Talent-wise, they're both pretty even. Offensively, Giants don't have much. They do still have Daniel Jones, but Saquon's always injured, and the Giants do have a good interior defensive line, and that should make it harder on the Seahawks. Offense, running game with Carson and Penny and Walker, and for some reason they have a ton of running backs. The Seahawks have home field advantage. I think that's going to be a huge factor on the Seahawks. Then you have them versus the Cardinals again. Like I said, divisional game. It's always tough. Cardinals have Hopkins for this game, I believe, and depends. And it's just always tough whenever the Cardinals and Seattle play. So I'm not always a divisional game, and they usually split. Almost always split. So I'm gonna take the Seahawks. Then you have Week 10 versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are Super Bowl contender with Tom Brady. They will not lose to the Seahawks. I'll take Tampa. Then you have them versus the Raiders. Raiders, the Raiders are, I think, definitely have talent on the team with Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, and their defense is okay. But Seattle's offense, I think, will be better by now. As soon as they figure out who their running back is, Seattle also has a good wide receiving core. But the QB, I think, will hold them back, and even after the bye, I'm still thinking the Raiders. Then you have Week 13 versus the Rams, another Super Bowl contender. I'm gonna take the Rams. Then you have them versus the Panthers. Panthers are coming off a bye. Panthers coming off a bye. Panthers, I still think they have a decently talented team. Um, but they do have Baker Mayfield and Christian McCaffrey if he's not hurt by now, and I still think their defense can be good, but I don't trust Matt Rule enough. This one, I think it's going to be a closer, and Seattle have home field advantage. I'm going to call the upset. Then you have Denver versus San Francisco. It's it's a Thursday nighter, and San Francisco, like I said, don't usually do well against Seattle, the divisional game. Seattle has home field advantage, and and last year the Seattle did sweep the Niners, so I'm taking Seattle. Then you have Denver versus the Chiefs. Chiefs are another Super Bowl contender, and I just don't see them losing to a team like Seattle who's rebuilding. So I'm the Chiefs. Then you have Denver versus the Jets. Seattle definitely has home field advantage for this one. The Jets, I think they'll be doing better now once all their new pieces gets cohesive, and Jets do bring in a lot of free agents, and this one's gonna be close. I'm just gonna take the Jets for this one. You have Week 18 versus the Rams. I think the Rams will have to fight for that number 1 seed and the bye, and so they won't be resting their backups. Either way, I still think the Rams are too talented with the Rams. So in the end, the Seahawks won 5-12, 2-4 in the division, 4-5 at home, and 1-7 away.